High Limit Racing gets back underway this weekend. The 2026 schedule begins at Las Vegas Motor Speedway on Thursday night. This week on the show, it's our season preview. We will discuss the 15-driver roster, championship favorites, and the new additions to the High Limit Racing schedule with big events and a whole bunch of other things on this week's show. Let's get into it. Before we get to all of that, we have a couple of winners that we would like to discuss, including a very popular victory for Donnie Schatz with the World of Outlaws on Friday night at the Talladega Short Track in Alabama. It had been over 500 days, over 70 races, over a full year since Donnie Schatz went to the victory lane again. And it was awesome to see the emotion from him down in victory lane with his new team of CJB Motorsports with Barry Jackson as the crew chief. Congratulations to Donnie Schatz, Mount Rushmore driver in sprint car racing. It's his 317th career World of Outlaws win, and hopefully that is the first of many on the 2026 season. Also in 360 action on the other side of the country at the Silver Dollar Speedway, it was the Silver Cup with Andy Forsberg, Mr. Excitement, getting the win on Friday night, and then young Austin Wood, the 16-year-old driver, getting the win on the finale. It was just the second career sprint car win of his career, going along with a win in 2024 at the Placerville Speedway. He was the Sprint Car Challenge Tour champion from 1 year ago. Austin Wood will make his High Limit Racing debut next week at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway dirt track. We're looking forward to seeing what he will do, but congrats to all of those winners. Now let's take a look real quick before we get to Tony Laporta and Brian Walker and hear all of their thoughts on the season. We wanted to mention the High Limit Racing field of 15 drivers. Of course, you've got Kerry Madsen. He'll be joining the tour this year. A little bit of an older driver, but he's been on the Outlaw Tour before. He's driving for Vermeer Motorsports in the number 55. You've got Danny Sams, a High Limit winner last year with the family-owned team out of Northport, Florida in the 24D. Cy Lynch back on tour as well in the Mositis Motorsports 42. New crew chief on that car with Heath Moyle moving over from Brett Marks to Cy Lynch's team. Chase Randall, the youngster out of Waco, Texas, Rookie of the Year contender last year. He's back for his sophomore season with a new crew chief, Adam Wallace, helping him out. Of course, you cannot talk about the driver roster without talking about Rico Abreu, the defending series champion, now teaming up with Tony Stewart Racing in the number 24. And the guy that finished second in points to him last year, Aaron Reitzel for Ridge & Sons Racing. It'll be him and his guys rolling up and down the road. Reitzel was his own crew chief. He was unbelievably fast last year. Also, what about Giovanni Scelzi, Spire Motorsports, a brand new team to sprint car racing, and Gio has the multi-time crew chief champion Eric Prutzman helping him out on that Chili's number 77. Tyler Courtney, he is back from injury and back and better than ever, looking for a High Limit Racing title in the Clausen Marshall Racing 7BC. Dason Pursley takes over the reins from Brad Sweet with the Casey Kane Racing number 9. New crew chief on that car, Jarrett Martin. Tanner Holmes, a Rookie of the Year contender, driving for Buick Motorsports. Tanner Thorson off a 2-win season last year, hoping to improve to more wins this year in the Rod Gross Motorsports number 88. You've got Justin Peck and his new crew chief of Brandon Hickman at Rudine Racing in the 26. Brenham Crouch. How many times do I got to say it? Another new crew chief, Tyler Swank, on the CJB Motorsports number 5. You got Hank Davis, another Rookie of the Year contender, working with Michael Dutcher Motorsports in the 17 GP. And Brent Marks, the Myerstown Missile, in the number 19. That is the 15-man roster for High Limit Racing this year. Now, let's get to Brian Walker and Tony Laporta and discuss our season preview for 2026. All right, welcome back to the High Limit Room. We are racing this week on Thursday. The season opens up at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway dirt track. No driver on the show this week, but we do bring back Walkopedia Brian Walker, and so show views should go up by at least 2,000 views, at least, having Brian Walker back on the show. Myself, Chase Rodman, Tony Laporta, we are at home base. Brian is sitting in row 2 of the Wagoneer on the side of the road. Brian, where are you poached up at right now? Where are you coming to us from?
I pulled into a McDonald's parking lot in Rolla, Missouri. So, yeah.
Okay. Never heard of that place before, but Tony's favorite restaurant, of course, McDonald's.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've never heard of McDonald's?
Definitely heard of McDonald's. I'm not a fan of it. That is for sure. But guys, we are here to talk about what is supposed to be a very exciting season for high limit racing coming up. In the show open there, I mentioned the 15 drivers that are racing with the series full time this year. A lot of different characters, a big cast of characters, of course, some champions, some contenders, some young hopefuls looking to get their chance in the spotlight, of course, this year. But there's a lot of things to look forward to this year, and I kind of wanted to bounce back to those 15 drivers. I guess if you kind of had to look at maybe two or three or one or two, which one, Tony, maybe would you think like, hey, this guy's going to have a way better season than he did last year, or maybe a guy that we haven't seen yet with high limit coming in that you're looking forward to seeing how they'll go? Is there any drivers that you're really looking at here going into this first week and the whole year that you think could have a pretty impressive season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's an easy out to take the rookies because we should all be excited to see them, right? We've never seen Tanner Holmes or Hank Davis compete full time on a national 410 wing sprint car tour. I'm excited to see how Hank does, but Tanner Holmes has been setting the world on fire at the races he does choose to hit in 410 wing sprint car racing over the last 2 or 3 years, and it seems like wherever he goes, he might not always be a threat for the win, but he's always in the mix. That's something I firmly believe. He's an awesome guy. He does wonders for the sport as far as exposure goes with growing it through social media and his video content. Book Motorsports is a legacy team. I feel like you can say that in 3 short years with high limit racing. I'm really excited to see what the Oregonian Tanner Holmes has in store for his first national tour here with Interstate Batteries High Limit Racing.
Yeah, for sure. He's like a second marketing agent for High Limit, I feel like. I mean, you got Brian over there. He's one of the main guys behind that. But Tanner Holmes, we could hire him as the marketing guy as well if he wants a job. But Brian, I did some notes here before the show started. And out of the 15 guys, by my count, 13 of them either have a new crew chief they're working with this year, or it's a new driver to a new team or something along those lines. Or like in Brett Mark's case, he's got an entirely new crew of guys. Which one of those, I mean, and take your pick, because like I said, there's a lot of them to choose from. You can take Justin Peck with now Brandon Hickman on the wrenches there. You got Brenham Crouch now with Tyler Swank. There is a lot of new pairings coming up here this week at Las Vegas. I'll see them for the first time.
Yeah, I think the one that I'm going to hit on is probably Hot Sauce. Giovanni Scelzi going to Spire Motorsports. They're bringing an entirely new team, like everything. And one of the things I talked to Gio about in the offseason that he liked about that too, and by the way, he gets to work with Eric Brutzman, who has won, I think, 10 championships total between, he was there with Ricky Warner at Donnie Schatz's days in the Outlaws, and then obviously he won 6 straight with Brad as his crew chief. And Gio talked about how he likes, obviously this is his first time doing it, building a team from scratch, because him and Eric get to pick exactly what they want as far as every piece of the car, engine, the chassis, everything. They get to build everything up the way they want to do it at their shop. And, we've only seen them run one race. They ran Talladega this last weekend. I think they got hard charger, but still outside of the top 10. But, only one night under their belt. I don't really know what to expect. Like, it being Giovanni Scelzi and Eric Brutzman and Spire Motorsports and Chili's on the car, like, you expect greatness, right? Really. I think Jeff Dickerson talked about that at PRI. So, I mean, I think Gio's probably the one I look at as just an unknown. And I think, he could, it wouldn't surprise anyone if he goes out and wins a championship. But I feel like he has a range from 1 to like 7. We just don't know. Like, I think he's a wild card that I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, definitely a wild card and a great addition, obviously, to the series. Has ran top 5 in the Outlaw points multiple times in his career. But like I mean, Madsen with Ty Wolfgang, Cy Lynch now with Heath Boyle, Chase Randall with Adam Wallace. I mean, you can keep going. Jason Persley and Jarrett Martin, Tanner Holmes and Sean Strasbaugh. I mean, the list goes on of new guys working with new crew chiefs. And so we'll see who gets off to the best start coming up here for 3 nights at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway dirt track. But another big storyline going into this year, Tony, of course, is the introduction of the High Roller Club. 10 drivers and 10 teams have a card in the High Roller Club that kicks in this year. 2 years ago, even a year ago, people were saying, oh, I'll believe it when I see it. I don't think that this whole thing is going to work out. There's no way that they're going to make this happen. And sure enough, everybody at Flow, everybody at High Limit made it happen. And this will be the first year that we see those, the High Roller Club come into play and start paying these guys out on a monthly basis.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a revolutionary thing for the world of sprint car racing, right? And I had a really cool conversation with Aaron Reitzel. This was probably before the season was even over last year. I'm pretty sure it was. And Aaron gave me insight as far as what the High Roller Club and this guaranteed money means to just the drivers personally. And then you'll kind of understand when I give you his answer what it means to the car owners. Aaron talked about being able to budget for an entire year as a race car driver when you know, hey, we've got this card, we've got this position in the High Roller Club, and this much money is assigned with that position in the High Roller Club. So we know we're going to be getting in at least this much money, because as we all know, the High Roller Club, that doesn't include race purses. That doesn't include other contingency sponsorship financial gains that come throughout the season. That High Roller Club is a payout you get every month simply based on how you've run over those last 2 years competing with Interstate Batteries, high limit racing. And Aaron talked about, hey, when the car owner knows he's getting this much, he knows he can pay me this much, and then as a driver, as a dad, as a business owner himself, right? He knows that he can go out there and do what he needs to do because he's got X amount of money coming in. We all know what it's like for race car drivers, for crew guys, heck, for even people working on the series or track side. Sometimes your financial situation can be in flux based on how many races you get in. Maybe there's been a lot of rainouts. When the season ends, you're not making as much money if you're a driver or a crew guy. So this High Roller Club gives a level of stability and almost safety to these drivers and these car owners that they've never had before. And despite what you may hear in other forms of media, this is a good thing for sprint car racing.
Yeah, it certainly is. And another kind of subplot with that High Roller Club, Brian, is those Joker card members. Of course, there are 5 of them this year. Danny Sams, you got Hank Davis, Kerry Madsen, Cy Lynch, and who am I missing? I always seem to forget one, right? Let me look on my list here. Who is it, Brian? Who am I forgetting? Chase Randall?
Chase Randall, yeah.
I think it was Chase Randall. So those 5 cars are trying to get into the top 8 in the point standings this year and next year, or if they can get in the top 3 in points either this year or next year, then they will position themselves in the High Roller Club and get themselves one of those franchise positions. Which one, if anybody, do you think has the best chance? Because that has been a hotly debated topic here over the last couple of weeks. A lot of people are thinking Kerry Madsen, with all of his success and all of his time on the Outlaw Tour, he's done this before, right? Maybe he can get in the top 8, and then you've got Chase Randall with a new crew chief, Cy Lynch with a new crew chief. You got all these other guys and all these other storylines going on. Is there one team that you think could get into that top 8 or maybe even that top 3 this year and get themselves in the High Roller Club?
It's funny I get this question because I just had to do driver previews for all the 15 full-timers, and I did it in order of the franchise or the High Roller Club. So I started with the Joker guys first, and I asked everyone what their goal was for this year. And I got so sick and tired of hearing everyone say, we should run top 8. We should run top 8. We should run top 8. So, I mean, it's nice that they're all, everyone's aiming for it. Man, if you ask me who I think is actually going to get there, I probably would tend to agree with Kerry Madsen. But yeah, I mean, you brought up so many good points with Cy Lynch has Heath Moyle now. They really turned a corner near the end of last year. Chase Randall got fast at the end of last year, and he brought in a new crew chief. I mean, Danny Sams is a high limit winner. Why can't he win a couple more races and get up there? There's a lot of potential, and I just talked about with Gio. Basically, he's like, there's so many, I would say, wild cards ahead of them that a lot of how those guys do as far as getting a top 8 will depend on guys like Gio, Justin Peck, Tanner Thorson, Tanner Holmes. Where they fall into play too. So I mean, whether it happens or not, that's it. It's a fun little subplot that we get to follow this year. So I'm excited to track that.
Brian, just you hit on it, and I was going to say this before you even explained what your preseason kind of article research went like, but I did the same with a lot of the drivers on the tour, and Danny Sams literally told me when I asked him, hey, what are your goals for 2026? He said, get as many wins, top 5s, top 10s, whatever it takes necessary to finish 8th in points or higher. So that just tells you the level of, kind of desperation. And that's a ugly word sometimes, right? But these guys know what's on the line as far as that High Roller Club and the guaranteed money is concerned. So I said, Danny, what are the black and white goals this year? How many wins are you hoping for? How many top 5? He said, I don't know, but as many as it takes to run 8th in points. So I think you're right. It's going to kind of be like a little bit of like a cutoff, like a bubble to watch all season long, right? I think it's going to be very entertaining to watch that fight for the 8th position because of what goes along with it.
Yeah, it's funny. His quote to me was something along the lines of like, I just want to run top 8 in points. I don't care what it takes. That's all.
Yeah, all those guys had that on their mind, of course, and I do agree with a lot of the people out there that Kerry Madsen may have the best chance. Of course, he was fast in the 55 last year, a couple of podium runs with the Outlaws before he got moved over to the TSR 15. Ty Wolfgang, he's got a lot of notes and whatnot from when he was at KKR and Brad Sweet's team, and so Kerry could be the guy, but there's a lot of other storylines, as we mentioned there, that maybe somebody else will get in that top 8. Another thing that's interesting this year, and a new addition, I guess you could say, to the series, is we got a new title sponsor, of course, and it's a very well-known brand, Interstate Batteries. We all know the slogan, outrageously dependable, of course. The green, the red, the black, the logo. The new High Limit logo looks really good. We got the trailer all wrapped up, looking good as well. The High Limit Command Center. Tony, how great is it to have a company like Interstate Batteries joining a dirt racing, series like this? Because really, for their 30-plus year history, they've been a sponsor in NASCAR, specifically with Joe Gibbs Racing. They did a couple of sponsorships here and there with McKenna Hassey on their sprint car, and a little bit with Christopher Bell there. But now they are going head first into the deep end here and really getting after it.
I think it's huge, and I joked about it. We did one of these earlier. I don't remember which driver we talked with, Chase, you and I. Other than the batteries that are in the push trucks firing these 410 wing sprint cars off, you're not going to see Interstate Batteries on the racetrack. But that's the biggest part of it to me, right? This company is going, yeah, these race cars might not use our product, but we still see value in being a part of this world-class, highly entertainment. Outdoor entertainment is what we hear all the time when it comes to what sprint car racing is competing against in this world, right? Where there's so many outdoor entertainment options. Interstate Batteries looks at high limit racing and goes, that's a sport. That's an outdoor entertainment we want to be a part of. I think it's a rave review. And yeah, I mean, they're synonymous with motorsports and winning in motorsports. I think they've been with Joe Gibbs Racing since like 91, 92. They win the 93 Daytona 500 on Dale Jarrett's car. Bobby Labonte, that's my childhood, right, is thinking of Bobby Labonte and that number 18 bright green Interstate Batteries. Pontiac and then Chevrolet. They're a brand that is synonymous with top-level motorsports, and they're a brand that's synonymous with winning. I am super excited to have Interstate Batteries be a part of high-limit racing this year and hopefully into the future.
Tony, you know how I think we've talked about in the past on here how like you have like a Tony Stewart door at your childhood house, right? Like, and I mean you have all the diecast, right? So when I was 5 years old, the day the title sponsorship got announced, my mom sent me a picture of my childhood bedroom, and all the walls were Interstate green, and the bed sheets and the pillowcases were all Bobby Labonte's 18 Interstate Batteries car. I was a huge Bobby Labonte's fan, huge.
Yeah.
I think you need to get all that transferred from your parents' house over to your new place over there in Indiana. I think that'd be a good look for you when your next girlfriend comes over and sees your room. That'd be
take it into the hotel rooms nightly.
Yeah, perfect. Bring it to Vegas. Also, another cool thing that will be happening this year, and we have heard, everybody that watches the High Limit Room on a weekly basis, they've heard Tony and I talk about this a lot. But Brian, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it as well. The 6 races going to be on Fox Sports 1 this year. The first one at Vado here in about 3 or so weeks, 2.5 weeks or so on a Tuesday. Then we have a race at Eldora, a race at Kokomo, Grandview, Red Cedar. I already said Grandview. There's a couple other ones on there as well. But Eagle, how exciting is that for High Limit? You've been here since the beginning of the series. Tony and I are a couple years behind you, but how awesome is it to see it grow into what it is now and be able to showcase this type of racing to a broader audience that may not really know what sprint car racing is or even what a sprint car is?
Yeah, no, it's totally awesome. I mean, this goes along with everything that Brad and Kyle have envisioned with High Limit from day one. I think you look back at last year's Joker's Jackpot, which aired on FS1, and how, big the reception was for that. And, the amount of people that just tuned in and watched it, and really the hype around it. Like it feels cool. Like even in the pit area when guys know they're racing on national television, right? Like, I mean, it amps you up a little bit, and I'm excited for the schedule that we have for those 6 races. I mean, you talk about Eagle, home to some of the best they literally have on the backstretch one badass racetrack. Grandview has time and time again hosted great races. Red Cedar was awesome last year between Rico and Kyle. There's Kokomo. I mean, Indiana's baddest bull ring. It's a perfect little 6-race mini series to, showcase sprint car racing to so many more people. And it's perfect that, I think they're all other than Eldora in the Roto-Rooter Midweek series. So it's a great time for fans to, catch sprint car racing on live TV and hopefully get more people invested into it and more people at the track.
I'm glad you mentioned the Roto-Rooter Midweek Series. That's where I was going next. That first FS1 race will be the first Roto-Rooter Series race at Vado, and then the final for the final FS1 race will be the season finale for the Roto-Rooter Midweek Series at Kokomo. And so it's going to be fun for the fans at home and watching on TV to see the beginning of that championship battle and see the end of it as well. But that Midweek Series, Tony, has been expanded quite large this year compared to the last couple of years where it maybe 9, 10, 11, maybe 12 races. We've had some rainouts here and there. This year it's 16 races with the addition of Bridgeport last week being added to the schedule. And that midweek series every year has came down to the final lap of the final race. And we had a tie 2 years ago between Sweet and Courtney, and then last year was Rico barely beating Reitzel. So 16 races for the midweek series, $25,000 for the champion.
Yeah, the way I understand it, it's pretty much any race that isn't on like a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday falls under the Roto-Rooter banner. And again, really quickly, we talked about Interstate Batteries. Talk about a great partner in Roto-Rooter, right? They just put out a really funny commercial with like Kyle Larson, Dale Jr., Owen and Audrey Larson make their network commercial advertising debut. Roto-Rooter is a group of people that every time they come to high-limit races seem really excited to be there, and they're happy to be a part of the sport. So I just got to say a big thanks to Roto-Rooter for continuing to come on board with Kyle and High Limit and all these different forms of motorsport, right? But yeah, the midweek championship deal, super fun. Tyler gets it 2 years ago, like you said, and a nail biter down to the championship with Brad. And then Rico wins it last year out in Missouri at Lucas Oil. And I don't know, man. Don't let anybody fool you. Like, this matters to these guys, right? They all want the year-end, season-long national championship. That's what we're all here for, right? But that midweek championship means a lot, too. And Roto-Rooter makes that possible. And heck, at the end of the day, right, it's a race, it's a championship. It might not be the year-end national championship, but everybody wants to win every time they go on track. And for any kind of points, mid-season long, season long title, they want to win that. So, and especially with the money on top of it. So yeah, it's a good deal. It's one more facet of Interstate Batteries high limit racing that is exciting, and it's different. It gives you more to watch. It gives you more to keep up with, and it gives you more to be a fan of. That's what I like.
Yeah, no doubt. I couldn't have said it better myself there. And then Brian, along the way throughout this 65 race schedule, we've got 4 races that will pay a minimum of $100,000 to win. Of course, the Gold Cup, that was won by Corey Day last year. Skagit Nationals, Rico's Sweep. Obviously the Weicker race, which was won by Aaron Reitzel, and the Joker's Jackpot last year, won by Kyle Larson. But obviously those are the marquee events on the schedule that not just the drivers, but the fans alike are also looking forward to. So much hype around those. I mean, I might be biased with the Gold Cup, my favorite one out of those 4 on the tight confines of Silver Dollar Speedway. But, it's just so fun to get to those big events and to have 4 of them on the schedule once again. I didn't know if the Weicker would stay 100,000. Remember, it got bumped up last year kind of last minute, but they kept it at 100K. But 4 huge races and at some really good venues. It's going to be fun to head over to those ones spread out throughout the year.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have, really, I mean, those are our 4 marquee ones. There are so many other big events, too, on our schedule. We're being year 3, it's incredible how many major events are on the high limit calendar. And I think it's amazing how many on our calendar that complement other events, right? Like, all of our guys get to run, like you just named it, the Bob Weicker, the Tusky, the Gold Cup, Skagit Nationals, the Joker's Jackpot, Vegas, Texas, big season opening ending events, and sprinkle in everything that Knoxville has, the Nationals, the Kings Royal. They can go to the Williams Grove National Open if they want. Husitz. Some guys are going to the Skagit Dirt Cup in June. That's the biggest thing that you hear a lot of drivers talk about too, is how if you go the high limit route, obviously you get our schedule, and then you get so many other big events that you can hit on top of that. And, we're lucky to have so many great tracks to work with. Like, I mean, that's so cool that we get to go to, Port Royal, Skagit, Silver Dollar, like icons of the sport, So it's awesome to see, and I'm confident we're still in the early stages. It'll go up from here. There'll be more of these major races.
Yeah, I think that is definitely the case. We've heard some rumblings, of course, but along with those 4 big races, the six-figure jackpots, of course, 13 by my last count. I could be wrong on that, but 13 new tracks to the schedule this year, if I'm not mistaken, and a couple of new events as well, Tony. We've got the Hockett Memorial, which we'll let Brian touch on that. Yeah. That's his race, of course. But the Brian Clausen race at Kokomo, doubleheader there. That's going to be I think it's 39 laps is the distance there at Kokomo Speedway. A doubleheader. People have been begging for a doubleheader at Kokomo for centuries. Ever since dinosaurs were roaming the earth, they were hoping for a doubleheader at Kokomo. And then also, not a new event, but the event moving to a different racetrack, of course. National Sprint Cars getting back to Montana with the Race Redeem Foundation event, $26,000 to win there, a doubleheader at Big Sky Speedway. Tony, it's just every year we get a couple new racetracks, and then we have some new events coming on the schedule that we should all be very excited about.
Well, that's news to me right there, Chase. You just broke some news to me, and that's my fault for not staying more on top of Brian's Crackerjack press releases. I'm sure there's one out there about that, but I didn't know that Montana and Big Sky was going to be the Race Redeem Foundation race. So that's really, really cool, because just like how you said, Brian's going to lead us into the Hockett Memorial race out there this summer, because that's if there was an event that Brian Walker's about, it's that one, right? And I've never been to Big Sky. That's going to be something I talk about a little bit later in the show when we wrap it up, but I'm really excited to get out there. That's great that the Race Redeem Foundation has selected that weekend to be their race. We know that Kevin and Monica Rudin take that event and they move it around every year to try to take their message with the Race Redeem Foundation and take it to new markets and different areas that maybe they haven't been to, or people in those areas don't know a lot about what the Race Redeem Foundation is all about. So that's really cool. I was just at an event for Racers for Christ a few weeks ago, and I met some folks from kind of the area that Gondik Law Speedway is at. They said it's going to be a really cool place to go to. Brian talked about it a little while ago. Red Cedar, not new to High Limit, but only its second year on the schedule. Put on a great show last year. Remember, we got rained out at Davenport back in 2024. Cars got on track for engine heat, and that was it. Started raining again, so I'm really excited to get back to that little fairground speedway. I don't know anything about Dakota Speedway. I said I've never been to Big Sky. State Line Speedway in upstate New York. I got a buddy who's from that area, and he raves about the place and the area just in general. So, yes, High Limit Racing continues to take the sport to new places, to new fans, and share the gospel that is 410 Wing Sprint Car Racing. So, one more awesome part of what Interstate Batteries High Limit Racing is doing, taking the sport to new markets and new fans.
Yeah, there's a portion of the schedule you mentioned there with Dakota and Gondik Law, I-94, Shelby County. I'm missing a track or two in there, but that little section of the schedule is within like 9 days, and it's a bunch of tracks that nobody's ever been to, nobody knows anything about. That's going to be a fun and exciting little portion of the schedule as we go to a bunch of new areas that we're looking forward to. And now, Brian, we will turn it over to you because I am curious, are you going to be getting a Airbnb or a hotel for the Hockett McMillan, or are you going to be sleeping in the Diamond Bar throughout the week? Tell us the answer to that question and tell us why we should be looking forward to that race. I am already a Lucas Oil Speedway super fan, right? But now we go there for 3 nights in a row for a big event with Power Eye. It's going to be a big car count and a lot of other things involved as well.
Yeah, so right now my arrangements are tentatively to be in one of the houses with all you guys. Mike has we're in one of the houses that has like 8 bedrooms in it, so all of us should be taken care of. But yeah, Lucas Oil, I slept in my car at that race because I didn't have any money to do nothing but pay for a pit pass that week to just go to the Hockett. I've been going there since 2013, 14 or something. And then just over time, the Hocketts basically became my family. I lived with Brooke and Casey Schumann for 7 years. Casey now runs Lucas Oil. He's the GM there. It's such a cool event, man, and it means so much to so many people down there. being a high limit this year. This is the biggest the Hockett's ever been. It was ASCS and Power Eye War forever. And it was always huge. You would get like 60 sprint cars of both, like wing and non-wing. But now you get to bring guys like Rico Abreu, Tyler Courtney, Giovanni, all the high rollers, plus non-wing is still racing. They're not going anywhere. There'll still be a great non-wing field there for 3 nights. And yeah, you talked about it. It's called the Diamond of Dirt Tracks. There's an awesome bar there. They have incredible food. The facility's immaculate. There's a car wash there. The paved pit area, it's just all pristine, and it's amazing time. I cannot recommend it enough for anyone considering it. That's the weekend you need to go. It's 3 nights, 2 different classes in the middle of September. The weather's normally pretty nice. I can't recommend going to the Hockett enough. It's my favorite event. It's in my top 5. I don't know where to rank it, but it's in my top 5.
I think there's a little bit of bias there, as it is with me and the Gold Cup. That's Brian's bias, as him and the Hockett McMillan race, which is understandable. We wanted to talk also during this season preview about the Rookie of the Year battle, which last year was 4 drivers. This year it is 2. One of them being one of the sport's most popular drivers, of course, in Tanner Holmes, and he is driving for Buick Motorsports. They've had maybe 8 or so races under their belt, made 2 dashes at the Bike Week races with the Outlaws. And then the other one is Hank Davis, who really not many people know about outside of the Chili Bowl. He's obviously won a prelim night there. He's on the podium this year at the Chili Bowl. He's an ASCS Rookie of the Year. But heading into Las Vegas, Tony, he's only going to have 37 career 410 sprint car starts. But I feel like the ceiling is very high for Hank Davis. We've already seen him do a lot of really good things in a very short amount of time. Last year, won 3 410 races in his first 30-something starts. So do you think it's going to be a close battle? Is there one guy you're looking at the most, or are you just excited to see those two make it throughout the whole year?
Yeah, you guys know I'm not really one to get on here and make predictions and tell guys, how I think their year is going to go before we've even turned a wheel. I don't see much of a benefit in that personally, but I do think it will be exciting to see the kind of start that Hank Davis gets off to with all that, that newness to 410 wing sprint car racing. Newness isn't the right word, but he just doesn't have as much experience as the other driver he'll be competing in the Race Routine Foundation Rookie of the Year fight with, and that's Tanner Holmes. We come right out of the gate at a half mile for 3 straight nights in Vegas. Now, I understand the weather forecast is much more favorable than last year, but if you think about it, we're out in the desert, right? In the late winter, early spring, the wind whips through the dirt track at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and that's what wreaked havoc on us last year. It's a big place to get your arms around for anybody coming to start their season chasing a national championship. But for a relative rookie to this kind of car and this kind of racing, I do think it will be a challenge for Hank Davis. Now, that's not me saying I don't think he's going to make features. I just think they're going to really have to put their heads down and just hit their marks in the pits, on the car, with adjustments every time he's on track. It's going to be a critical weekend for him to get things rolling in the right direction. Tanner Holmes, I talked about him, in the opener. I'm excited because, he's got a lot more experience, right? He's had that kind of, pick 'em wherever you can find him schedule over the last couple of years. He goes to the big events, he races a bunch, and he's got a lot of seat time, and he's driven for a lot of really good car owners over the last couple of years. So, the Rookie of the Year, I think right now it leans a little bit in Tanner Holmes' favor, but Hank Davis is a gasser, right? He's run really well at a bunch of different events in several different kinds of cars. So to me, it's not a clear cut, one guy's better than the other. I'm just excited to get on track and see what each of them and their respective teams can do. Michael Dutcher Motorsports, right? They've made a big commitment. They are choosing to go all in here with high limit racing. And, I don't think they're doing it because they don't know what they're getting into. They're doing it because they know what they stand to win, what they stand to gain, and they're prepared for the challenge. I'm really excited to see how this Rookie of the Year battle gets started in Vegas.
Now, Brian, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this as well. Hank Davis is a fellow Oklahoman, comes from kind of that same area that you are from as well. And, Dutcher, I talked to him a little bit, and they are very well prepared when it comes to the equipment side of things. They bought, I think it was like 4 engines from Jason Myers Racing last year after the Knoxville National. They got plenty of Maxim chassis. They've got plenty of equipment to make it happen. They just bought Colby Thornhill's badass hauler to make it across the country with. So I think they've got the equipment. Like I said earlier, I think that the ceiling is very high for Hank Davis. And Tony mentioned, I think if you put him on a teeter-totter right now, I think it's teetering more towards Tanner Holmes winning this Rookie of the Year thing. But I think Hank Davis could surprise some people a couple times this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be fun to follow. I was texting with Dason Persley the other day, which we all grew up basically at Port City. And we were talking about, I sent him a screenshot of one of his restricted results from 10 years ago that came up on my Facebook, and Hank was involved in it. And we were just talking about how good Hank was back in the day and restricted and kind of the kid classes at Port City. So it's so cool to see these guys, come from where they were to now they're contending for wins with the National Sprint Car Series, right? Yeah, you talk about Dutcher too. I didn't know any of that about all the stuff he got until you brought it up a couple weeks ago, and I was like, that's pretty impressive. All the stuff he got from Myers, the trailer, everything. So that will be pretty interesting. I mean, granted, they're still relatively new to wing sprint car racing. This is still a guy that has tons of sprint car success, right? Like he won a USAC championship with Brian Clausen back in the day. He won a bunch more as a car owner with guys like, who I'm trying to think, John Sambro, I think, KTJ probably won some races for him. This is a guy who knows how to win races. When you look at the other side, I think a lot of people would agree with me. I've had conversations about it that I think Sean Strasball might be the most underrated crew chief in the country. Like you look at what Sean has done over a lengthy period of time, going well beyond the past 3 years. But even you look at the past 3 years, from Peck to Persley, even last week at Volusia, him and Tanner got going pretty well. I feel like Sean is a guy that, like, almost no matter who gets in a car that he's working on, they end up getting fast. Like, I really believe that Sean is a guy that you have to take into consideration in this rookie battle. And I would agree with both of you that, like, it probably leans towards Tanner, but anything can happen over 64 races. And, I didn't pick Dason last year to win, I don't believe, Rookie of the Year. And then obviously he went out and had a really great year, and now he's with Casey Kane Racing. So it really shows you how big this season is for any rookie, really, on any tour. Like, this is a huge moment for you to go out and prove yourself that could shape the rest of your career.
Yeah, definitely a good point there at the end. So it's going to be fun to watch Hank Davis and Tanner Holmes battle it out for the Racer Dean Foundation Rookie of the Year standings, and I believe $5,000 at the end of the year. And then the final thing we want to end off on here before we give a couple of our, what the things we're looking forward to the most this season is the storyline of could we potentially see 3 champions in 3 years of national touring racing with high limit. Of course, Brad Sweet was the champion in 2024. Rico wins it last year, and now Brad Sweet is out of the equation, right? And so that kind of opens things up. Now, Rico, when you look at the stats of his year, obviously a ton of wins, top 5s, top 10s, led the most laps, all that good stuff, but he had the 3rd best average finish behind Reitzel and behind Brad Sweet. Of course, Reitzel only had 40 races due to the injury, but still, he was on pace to have a better average finish than the guy that was the champion. So, to me, unlike maybe the Outlaws where you're going into the year thinking, okay, this is David Gravel's championship to lose, I don't think you could say the same thing about high limit with Rico. If he did it one time, now if he does it twice, then maybe next year you could say, okay, this is Rico's championship to lose. But there's a lot of different things going on here, and I feel like Aaron Reitzel may be the guy that everybody has circled to put up the biggest challenge. Of course, he was the closest one last year, but can he stay healthy? Can he show that same speed that he did last year? Tony, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, like I said earlier, and I'm just going to stay on this, and people can boo me if they want, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, here's who's going to win the championship this year. I leave that to Chase. One driver's told me that your whiteboard video from your prediction last year was a little bit off, and he's excited to talk to you about it when we get to Vegas as far as championship predictions. And so, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you who I think's going to win it and why, but I'll tell you, I'll talk about the 3 guys I think we just talked about there, right? Rico, I love your article, Brian. More to prove, right? Rico Abreu, what do you say, Chase? 3rd best average finish at the end of last season, but when you count in all the injuries and all the crazy stuff that happened, Rico did what you have to do in points racing, and that's stay on track, finish as many as you can, and finish as high as you can as often as you can. So that's why Rico Abreu is your champion. I don't think they're going to forget how to do that. And I think, honestly, the fact that he had the 3rd best average finish is going to eat at him. And they're going to go into the season with Tony Stewart Racing backing and they're going to be hungrier than ever. I don't think Rico is satisfied at all with one championship, okay? Next up, the guy that you said everybody's got circled, or a lot of people have circled, Aaron Reitzel. I had another conversation with him as far as one of these preseason catch-ups go, and he talked about how good they were in Australia, and they started that Australia trip pretty poorly. If you remember, I mean, they were with us at High Limit International in Luch Monte's car, and Aaron did not look very good. And Aaron told me at the start of Australia, he personally was nervous going, well, man, I had such a good year at High Limit, and then when I got hurt, Justin Sanders gets in the car and does so well. Maybe my success in 2025 was just the race car that Brian and Lisa Ridge provided him. But then he got rolling, and they go out, they win the Classic, and him and Luch have a good summer down there in Australia, and it restored his faith that it wasn't just the 87 from RSR, right? So that is going to be motivation for Aaron to go, I know I've got a great race car, and I know I'm still a great driver. Let's go after it. It's his second year on a national tour. And then Tyler Courtney, okay, that guy I think is a little bit on the clock now, right? In his preseason catch-up with me, he talked about, we've never won a national championship at CMR. He's coming into his 10th season racing with the Clausen Marshall family, right? So he knows that he's got to get a national title done, if not this year, super soon. And then when you look at how much time he had to sit out due to that wreck back in the summer at Eldora, I can't believe there's anybody who wants to be successful right now more than Tyler Courtney. So I'm not picking one of them to win the championship. I'm not picking the other two to lose the championship. I'm telling you, those are the reasons you should keep 3 eyes on each one of them. And I don't have 3 eyes, so I'm going to go rent one and use it to keep an eye on everybody that's at the front of the field here with Interstate Batteries High Limit. It's going to be an intense year of racing.
Brian, what are your thoughts on this topic?
I mean, well, I was fully prepared to make a prediction, but since Tony's not, I don't really feel inclined to. I would like to add that beyond those 3, who are the obvious ones, that I feel like there's this next fringe group that I think could win a championship, and that's Brent Marks, Justin Peck, and Giovanni Scelzi. I mean, Brent, I think, is the biggest question mark just because of everything that happened over the offseason with his crew. I mean, I really don't know who's going to Vegas with him. I'm not entirely worried about it just because he was fast down in Florida. I think he was on the front row 2 of the nights with the Outlaws. He's going to be fine. I think the biggest question mark with Brent Marks every year is the West Coast, and it's not as big of a question mark anymore based off what we saw last year. He gets his first career win on the West Coast. He locks in at Gold Cup. That was wild to see, but really cool. So, I mean, for him, and I think I saw it on here, the High Limit Room with you guys, he talked about it's just about consistency. And this is the next goal. Like, he's checked them off his whole career. And the next one is to win a championship. And everything he's done is about building to that. And then with Justin Peck, I mean, there are speeds, there are signs of speed. And I talked about, I think my season preview with him, he talked about they just need to eliminate, they would just go out and run 15th one night. Like, you just can't do that. Like, they just need to, figure out a way to claw into that top 10, that top 5, make your bad nights salvageable. And then I hit on Gio earlier, where we don't know what we're going to see yet with Eric Prutzman and him, but it very well could be something great.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned Justin Peck there. There's obvious changes to that team, a couple of them. I mean, we already talked about the crew chief. They're bringing in Brandon Hickman, who was the car chief last year. Tyler Tessemaker gets moved over to the Levi Hillier car on the West Coast. The wheels really came off for that team around the race 18 mark or so. When they got to Red Cedar, everything was going super well. They're on the pole, the feature at Red Cedar, and he blows a motor on lap 1. At that point in time, he was like 5th in points, like 80 behind the champ. I mean, he was, still within contention. This year, they're going back to the Chevys. They're not going to be doing the Ford thing anymore. And so maybe a little more reliability, a lot less issues with that side of things. I do think that this could be an interesting year for Justin Peck to watch him, especially if he gets off to a good start at Vegas and at Central Arizona, which, by the way, he just won 2 races out with ASCS a couple weeks ago. But, a lot of different guys to watch for. That is for sure. The parity is off the charts. But now we want to get into the final segment of the show, and each one of us will give, 2 kind of storylines or 2 things that we are looking forward to the most with High Limit this year. We'll just do one at a time. I'll start off. I think the easiest one for me is the fact that we will have 6 races on live television with Fox Sports 1. And it's not just me saying that because, hey, I'm going to be on TV, yada, yada. There's a lot of pressure with that, and I might pee my pants or something. But what I'm getting at is showing the sport off to so many new people, right? I mean, that is what I am looking forward to the most. I think, personally, we have the best racing product. Like the actual on-track product, there is nothing better than what we have right now with High Limit, and I cannot wait to try and show that off to more new fans potentially. And that even goes along with, like, kind of hand in hand with going to Vegas during NASCAR weekend, going to Texas during NASCAR weekend, Lakeside, of course. Getting those new people introduced to the sport is one thing that I'm looking forward to the most. That's my first one. Brian, what's yours?
I mean, one of mine was going to be Lucas Oil earlier, the Hockett, and I hit on that pretty well, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I'll go with one that's behind the scenes that's not going to be as obvious is Brad Sweet being retired now and what he does probably with High Limit, with NARC, with Chico, and making Gold Cup bigger. Obviously, he'll still run, I think, like 30 some odd races with Paul Silva and Kevin Kozlowski, which I believe we'll see him at Central Arizona next week as his first race with us. But yeah, I'm most excited to see how this goes, right? Like I was there in 2023 when you guys were still on the Outlaw Tour, and Brad he ran 2 of those races because he won the Outlaw Championship that year, and it was him kind of running the show. So I'm excited to see how that meshes with Mike Hess is obviously here now, and the race director and series director. So it'll be interesting to see what Brad does, mainly with the day-to-day stuff, right? In the long-term future of High Limit. We've already seen some internal changes behind the scenes that, I'm excited about. So I would probably say it's what Brad does now with more time on his hands.
Tony, what do you got?
That's a good one, Brian. I think if you see, I already don't have a lot of hair. Some people would say I don't have any, and I wouldn't argue with most of those people. But if you see some of the high limit racing people, maybe, pulling a hair or two out every once in a while, it might be because Brad Sweet is starting to call the shots. He told me he was going to get an earpiece that I would wear at all times so that wherever he's at in the country, he could kind of help me out down in the infield. And to that, I just say, I don't know. And I joke mostly. Brad has a great vision for the sport and for the series, but he's also smart enough to know that he's hired some really, really good people, and is going to trust them to do their jobs. In that vein, people. That's the first thing I'm excited about. Right? There's a bunch of storylines going into the year of people growing, or at least having the opportunity to grow. Right? Jarrett Martin is about to be a 410 national touring wing sprint car crew chief for the first time in his career, right? He's a younger guy. That's one of the things Dason Pursley, who moves into Brad Sweet's Napa number 49 or number 9, I guess, machine talked about. Dason talked about, hey, we're a young crew on that race car. The driver, the crew guys, everybody's young, and they're excited about that. They know there's going to be challenges. They know that there's things that they don't know yet. But to that point, he said, hey, we've got Casey Kane, and Casey's pretty much seen it all. So guys like Jarrett Martin getting this crew chiefing opportunity at the top level of wing sprint car racing with a top level team. Danny Sams and his whole family, because they are his crew. He talked about with me in his preseason catch-up going, now that I've done it for a year, I know how hard it can be. He said, I'm sure it could have been harder. We could have had worse nights. We could have had more bad nights. They could have not won at all, but Danny now says that he goes into this season aware of what some of those potholes in the road can be and how deep some of them can get, and he's got a little bit of a better idea of how to navigate down the road and avoid some of those potholes. There are so many men, women, family, friendships in the pit area at Interstate Batteries high limit events that give you lots of excitement for how they're going to grow and how they're going to get better as people and members of their team this year. Those are some of the stories I really want to bring to people in 2026.
Yeah, that's a good one. You kind of stole mine because my second one was going to be watching Dason Pursley and see how he holds up to the pressure of superseding Brad Sweet, like coming in and replacing Brad Sweet directly and trying to, I don't know if replicate his success is a fair thing to say, because that's going to be tough to do for a 21-year-old kid. And, he's only in year 2 of his full-time sprint car career, but I'll just go to something else, and it might be a little bit of a, low-hanging fruit type of situation here, but I just am excited to go to the new racetracks that I personally have never been to, but the ones that excite me the most are the ones not just that I've never been to, but the ones that all the drivers haven't been to either. There's been some situations in my career where I've been to some tracks when I was with the Outlaws, and even with High Limit in year one, we go to a place that nobody has ever heard of. There's no videos about it. It's hard to find any info about it. You just show up there, you run your hot laps, and then you're racing, right? I mean, that is what I am excited about the most. Tracks like Gondik Law, Davenport, I-94, Dakota, Shelby County, these are all tracks that I don't think anybody besides like Danny Sams went to Gondik Law once, Kerry Madsen's been there, but nobody else has. The unknowns of going to these tracks, and most of them are like stock car and like fender car tracks. They're not even really sprint car tracks, right? I mean, the unknowns of going to those places and doing it in front of new fans in new areas of the country as well, I would say that is something that I am looking forward to the most alongside of the Fox Sports 1 broadcast as well. So I'm going to go with that. Brian, what's your second one?
I'm going to pivot to a guy that I don't think we talked about much so far, and that's Tanner Thorson. Does he continue elevating his sprint car career? I think you saw it in 2024. He obviously gets a prelim night win at Gold Cup. I think they ran maybe like 12 or 11, 12, 13th in points, comes back the next year, wins twice. And one of the things he talked about when I interviewed him before the start of the season is, it's not like I never thought we couldn't win, but once you actually do it and you know that you can, like it changes something inside of you and the brain chemistry or something. And you saw it. He goes out and wins 2 weeks later right away. So I think that's one of the great storylines to follow. In 2024 at the end of the year, or even like midway through, it was like, he was aware of like what everyone said about him. Like, you're not going to finish the whole year. Like the Rod Gross Motorsports team basically formed essentially out of thin air, right? Like that kind of came about like over Christmas or New Year's. It was a very last minute deal thrown together. It was basically just him and Brenton Marvel for a little bit. And they made it work, and they slowly but surely built it up. And now they have TJ Nichols there. Lee Lindgren helps him out a lot. He obviously has a wealth of knowledge, and his father-in-law, Stevie Smith, helping him with anything that he needs. So I think that's going to be a fun one to follow. Does Tanner continue to step up? And, maybe he was, I want to say, 8th in owner points last year, or 6th in driver points. Does he climb up the ladder into the top 5, sneak onto the podium? It's definitely possible.
Yeah, I actually agree 100%, Brian. And we get told, hey, have 2 things you're looking forward to this year. I mean, they could literally be anything, right? And I will agree with you. I think if there is one driver and one driver car, one driver team combination that will be just the most exciting, at least in terms of like preseason expectations, I'm with you. It is Tanner Thorson and that Rod Gross Motorsports team. And you mentioned his father-in-law, Stevie Smith. Well, I'm sure he told you this in your preseason, interview with him. He's gotten Stevie off the porch, and he's going to come to Vegas. And he told that to Chase and I on the High Limit Room. He talked about it at length on the Dirt Parlor with Gordy Gundaker, and that's going to be a huge asset to them. Tanner's probably going to be trying to bungee cord Stevie to the race car and the trailer for the rest of the season because there's no way that won't continue to excel his program, getting to have Stevie there in person. I'm with you, Chase. Also, I'm really excited to go to all these new racetracks. I love Montana. I can't believe we're going to go make that random run up there to Big Sky Speedway. That's just an insanely beautiful part of the country. I'm going to teach you guys all how to fly fish, and that's going to be a really cool weekend. Man, I don't know. I'm just excited to get back to talking to people at the racetrack, race fans, team members, drivers, full-timers, and non-high rollers, right? I just love how accessible high-limit sprint car racing is because people can just come up and just tell you what they love about the sport. They can tell you what they think is going on. I'm so excited to get back on the road to see these people. I've just become friends with fans that just are at certain events every year. And maybe that's crazy to hear. Maybe that's not, right? But there are just people who make it tradition to go to Skagit or go out and catch all the West Coast races. And they might not even be from that area. And they go there because they know we're going to be there. And you get to sit and you get to talk with them before the races, after the races, every day or night during a multiple night show. So I'm just so looking forward to getting back and talking to the people that we know and we already have relationships with, and then getting to meet new fans, new team members, new drivers that we don't see very often, and getting to learn about them. That's probably a really lazy answer, but it's the best part of my job. I get to talk to people all day, every day, and I'm really looking forward to getting back and doing that.
I like that one. You said it might be a lazy answer, but I do like that answer. But I think that's all we've got here for the season preview, guys. It's going to be an exciting year. Oh, yes, Brian.
I have one thing. So like normally we talk about NXT bets for an betting segment on this show, right? We obviously don't have odds for Vegas, but one thing that we will have in 2026, obviously depending on the market, where you are, in the platform, but there will be futures for the championship. I know you're big on
really
hot. Yeah,
is that right? I didn't hear about that.
Yes. That I want to say we might get them tomorrow or Wednesday, but yeah, we've had some meetings with the NXT bets people, and that's one of the exciting things we'll have. Chase
that's
got really
right up Chase's. That's right up Chase's alley, baby. He loves predicting year-end results. He loves
texting me. He was texting me last night about Buffalo Sabres plus 1,800.
Plus 1,800 for the Cup.
Yeah, I mean, NHL aside, Chase really likes predicting how like drivers and teams will do at the beginning of a season. So I know he can't participate because as members and officials within Interstate Batteries High Limit Racing, we are not permitted to be a part of that gambling and that kind of activity. But maybe that could be a whole new segment to the whiteboard show, Chase, is your gambling advice, which I think is also not allowed.
No, it's not. But, well, you say that, but one of my new duties this year in 2026 is I have to make a video for Facebook and Twitter this year on my pick of the night, the Rodman Risk, and post it. So, we could have some fun with that throughout the year, but that is something that if you're a fan of the Rodman Risk, which there's about maybe 2 of you out there, then get ready for some videos out there on Twitter and Facebook throughout the year. But I believe that's all we've got for our season preview. We get underway on Thursday at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It is the Sugar Bee Blackjack Bash, and we have a March to October journey to figure out who is going to be the 2026 champion. Tony has another thing he wants to mention.
We are live on FloRacing at 5:15 p.m. Las Vegas time. I don't know the time zone because I'm not sure if that's Pacific or Mountain, and that's because
Pacific.
Okay, good. Thank you, Brian, for that. So 5:15 p.m. Pacific, Thursday, March the 12th. High Limit and Interstate Batteries kick it off.
Good point there. If you don't have your FloRacing subscription, right now when you are watching this video is the time to get it. High Limit getting underway. You want to get that subscription now and not try and buy it right before hot laps and then you type your credit card in wrong and you're missing qualifying. Just get it right now as you're watching this, all right? Brian, good luck with the rest of the drive. And Tony, we'll see you over in Vegas. We've got the High Limit team party on Wednesday night we're looking forward to, so we'll see you guys there, and we hope to see you fans at a racetrack coming up here soon on the High Limit schedule. Thank you for watching the High Limit Room. The next couple episodes will be from the road, so get ready for some hotel High Limit Room videos. We'll see you guys at the racetrack. Thanks so much for watching this week's episode.